Hello, everyone. Today is October 20th, 2021. I'm here with Jonathan Vu. Jonathan is a pharmaceutical consultant and a semi-professional paintballer. Thanks for coming on the podcast, Jonathan.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Karuj. As we were talking before this, it's been a long time. I think the last time we chatted was up in 2018, not maybe 19, when I was randomly in San Diego and hung out. That was
What
that
were
was.
you doing in San Diego?
Well, I was commuting to San Diego for work at the time, so I was probably just trolling around town after work. I think we might have just met up like you actually.
You're breaking up a little bit.
Oh, no, when I think when you were living in North Park and I was going out with some of my uh, colleagues and we ended up in North Park and I think you met up with us when,
Okay.
yeah, so
Okay,
was that
yes.
2018 when you lived in North Park?
2017 and 2018 were the two big years I was in North Park.
Yeah, I think you were living with Ed at the time actually. So
Ed?
were you were living with Ed? Didn't you live with Ed?
No,
Ed
I
Lim?
lived with S- Seth, formerly Seth, now Fifi, and and another guy, Kavir Kapoor, and Anmol. I lived with Anmol too.
Anmal, that's what it was. It was Anmal. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Yes.
remember. I remember Anmal was there.
Did you come to our house? We had a sick house.
Yeah, no, it was nice. It was a nice little spot, and I mean, North Park is just. I feel like that's just North Park in general, right? It's a
Yes.
very, nice kind of nice, quiet neighborhood, up until you get to the streets where all the bars and
Yes. It is a nice quiet neighborhood. I like how it's laid out, and the houses are kind of, you can, it's like kind of big. They're made in the 20s though, so it's kind of rough to live in those.
yeah, yeah. Well, it was a nice spot, but no, glad to be here, and excited to have a chat with you. It's been a while.
Yes, it's been a while. Have you paintballed it recently?
The last time I played competitively was June of last year, I believe. The last time I just played in general was probably earlier this year, probably a couple months ago.
What's the reason you don't play competitively anymore?
Well, COVID kind of did it in for a lot of things, right? So coming into 2020, so my team, I think we were like top 10 semi-pro team in the national circuit. We were making a run for a pro spot in
Wow.
2020. So going into it, like we were, like, hey, this is what we're doing. Like we're set for the year. Like this is our goal. Like, let's get it. Played the first event, and then COVID happened, and then basically everything was in limbo, right? Like they canceled all the events. They're like, hey, like we can have to due to state mandates because in the national circuit, um, we traveled to a couple different states, and so I think Vegas was the first event, which we played that one, and then the next one was supposed to be in Dallas. That event got canceled because Dallas is usually in May, which is like kind of the height of COVID. So that got canceled. I think event three, which was in uh, Philly, that got canceled, and I think they brought back Chicago, if I remember correctly. That was in September, so that event happened. But you know, once COVID kind of hit and things started shutting down, a lot of me and my good friends who all play on my team, um, we kind of reassessed kind of our priorities, right? Two of my friends were having kids. One of my other friends got into just other hobbies, and then I started just kind of getting into other hobbies, and I actually ended up saving to buy a house. Um, so a lot of priorities shifted, and so everyone kind of went their own way in terms of their paintball career. Actually, one of our boys ended up playing pro for a team down in San Diego. Um, Another guy went to go play semi-pro for another team, but then the three other main guys, one myself included, we ended up just kind of you know taking a little hiatus, and so Yeah, so 2020 just a lot of things happened there, and then 2021, people still trying to figure stuff out. But we all miss it though. It's something that like yeah, you can take a little pause on, but you always miss the action. You miss the adrenaline. You miss the camaraderie of being with your boys. And so actually we're making a team for 2022, and we're calling it the Burnouts because we're all burnouts now at this point. So we're all just gonna have fun, and at that time we're gonna hopefully rank down low enough so we can compete in a lower division. And our motto is gonna be practice is optional and six pack is necessary. So just trying to have a
S-
little fun with it.
oh, six pack, like a six pack of beer.
Oh yeah, yeah. To each person, right? That's kind of
Yes.
it's funny, but it's because when you play competitive, really anything, you think about even like esports or paintball, whatever it is that you do, it kind of once you get to that level of competitiveness, like it kind of stops becoming fun in a way
Yes.
for a lot of people because now it kind of becomes a job, a chore. Like, hey, I have to drag my butt out of bed, at 5 or 6 in the morning on Saturday after working the whole week, and then go out, be in the field, under like 90, 100-degree heat, and then just kind of grind and bust my ass, and then do it again the next day. Then you do your week, and then you do it again the next weekend. So it's kind of you kind of just get tired. And that's not even thinking about like the financial aspect of this, right? So
The financial, because you have to travel a lot too.
yeah, so I mean, every year playing in the national circuit, um, if you play the full circuit, I was budgeting like about 10 grand a year to play, um, and that
Wow.
like that's practices, right? That's travel, it's hotels, that's activities you do outside of paintball. Like if you go, you know, if we're in Florida, we're gonna go play world ball, right? We're gonna go drink, we're gonna go eat, or if we're in Chicago, same thing. We're gonna go eat, we're gonna go drink, hang out, we're gonna go do other things as well. Um, so it just kind of it got expensive too, and my team, we were kind of lucky enough that um, we were all very uh, like we were well off in our professional life because a lot of times what you see in paintball is like people kind of come from not as good backgrounds, or they're kind of playing or working to play paintball, and I get it. I was like that too when I was young. I mean, when we were in college together, I was bumming it, but still somehow worked enough on campus to pull enough money to play. But
Yeah.
I mean, and you've seen me, come back from practice sometimes all banged up, but I mean, it's
Yes. But you loved it.
oh yeah,
Dang. It's wow. Yeah, priorities shifted heavily over the last year and a half.
yeah, yeah. So, but excited though to get back into it. Um, this past month, I've been talking to a lot of friends about getting it started back up, and we got a team put together. We're getting some jerseys designed. We're all excited to get back into it. Because again, like I said, you can take a pause, but everyone ends up missing it and wants to come back and see the field. So, and you actually can't see the video, but I have my custom made. Let's see if I can tilt my camera. I have my custom made anodized paintball gun right up there on my shelf. So,
Okay.
you
Does it
know,
have red
it,
tape on
it,
it?
it's got red stripes. So I got it anodized by another one of my good friends who's out in Texas. He works for an anodizing company, and
What's
so he.
anodized mean?
Uh, so I will explain it in the way that I know, but it's basically just like painting metal, in a sense. But
Okay.
like you use electricity to bond the dye or something to the body,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, it's a process, and some a job like that could be a couple $100 for the design and put into it. Um, Given that it was just my good friend and he's been trying to get get me to send him a gun to anodize, he did it on the low for me. But um, it's a super sweet like full matte black body with 3 red stripes running uh, on the side of the body of the gun. So it's
Nice.
super nice. And it's a 3D anime, so the body's matte black, but the red stripes are gloss. So like it's that is like supposedly a complex process as well. The way my buddy explained to me, I'm like, wow, that sounds pretty intense. But he was just kind of looking to just do something cool. So that's why he just kind of gave me a computer.
That's a cool art to have. Anodizing metal.
Yeah.
Did you only have one paintball gun?
Yes. I used to have a couple more, but um, it's just you can only shoot one at a time, and then obviously because I got out of it, ended up selling some of the other ones. Um, but I mean, people do go collect paintball. It's kind of an expensive
Yes.
collection. Like if you get into the high end stuff, like what I have is, I guess it's like a Ferrari. It's like it's one of the
Nice.
top of the line. So
That's like bows too. You can
oh
really
yeah.
go hard for a bow, a nice bow, and then some people have a couple bows,
Yeah, so I
which
guess in terms of the pricing of the bows, right, are like recurves less expensive than compounds? Does it not matter what style of bow it is? Does it just matter like the components? Like, I've kind of
it
like delved into that just a tiny bit, but obviously don't know as much as you
there's some, I mean, like if we disregard antiques, because antiques have like, their own sort of pricing. eh, But if we just go into utility, generally compounds are going to be more expensive than a recurve. Recurves can get up there, but compounds are so systematically, much more complex. A recurve, is just like a piece of wood connected to a string,
do.
whereas a compound has like it's a metal frame. I mean, the recurve can be metal as well, but it's just usually two pieces. The compound has like a metal frame. It has its legs, which, when you pull back, those legs take a lot of the the force that you're bringing back is actually maintained in those legs. So like if I'm drawing back on like 55 pounds, I'm not actually drawing back on 55 pounds with the compound. A lot of it is being held in those legs, whereas a recurve, the full, force, the full strength of that 55 pounds is being held back by, you want it to be back here, this lat and this tricep area. A lot of times it's kept up in this front shoulder and in this front arm, which this is just supposed to be an anchor for your bow, and all the real tension and is supposed to come, back here from your, whichever hand is pulling back the string. But it's so compounds are usually more expensive because they're much more complex. They have like sights on them. They'll have like different sorts of, I forgot what it's called, servings. Like uh, recurves can have servings too, but they're just much more systematically complex, which makes it a lot easier for an archer. But I mean, it needs, if you're gonna go hunt something, then it easier is still not that easy.
Yeah. No, so the first time I was exposed to hunting, and I wasn't hunting at the time. I was just there for the camping aspect and kind of just hiking. Um, my buddy was bow hunting in D13. Is that Sequoia area?
Yes, it
Yeah.
sounds
So
like it.
so I believe we were in D13. Um, and so he was showing me his bow, and like we actually went camping the time before that, so he can like get dialed in and everything. But I was trying to draw his bow, and I think he had it at like 80 or 100 pound draw because he was able to shoot like at 100 yards like pretty easily. And I may just be talking a bunch of shit, so I don't know. You tell me. Um, but
That
he was easily hitting 100 yards. I was like, wow, you know. And I was trying to draw it, and I failed every time except the like one time. Like we just caught, I had a little booze me. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna strongman this, and I got it back. But it was difficult, like to pull that
It's a
thing.
very specific set of muscles that no one uses. And like there's a certain way you can do it where you don't work as hard. But I know what you mean. Like if he's 80 pounds is a lot.
Yeah.
If he's pulling back 80 pounds. I pull back 55 pounds because it's all that needs. I'm actually going to increase it maybe to 60, but like when I first got my bow, it was set at 70 pounds. And I was just like, you should, if like everyone at the range was looking at me like I was foolish, just like it was really embarrassing. Now I'm, much better, but there's still some really, sharp shooters out there. But if he was doing 80, and also then I understand you having trouble because you need to practice a lot, and 80 is very strong
Yeah.
poundage to draw back.
Well, and I think he's a tad like his wingspan's a tad bigger than mine. So like,
Yes,
because is aren't bows customized to the individual, right? If I understand that correctly.
the compounds are, which is
Yeah.
another reason. Like the recurve isn't isn't customized to the archer, so you could take a recurve, anyone can shoot it, but the compound is.
Yeah. So I guess that's the other thing. Is like his draw length would be like mine would be different. It'd be like shorter than his. So like I had to work like extra hard to like stretch myself a little further back to get to that kind of hole point. You know, versus for him it was obviously perfect because it was
Yes.
beforehand. Like, so.
And once you do that, once you bring back like that past this area, one, lost a lot of control, and two, you're like the way you hold it is like gonna be in the shoulder. It's very difficult if you don't have that bow tuned in to your exact length and weight level. I mean, you can actually accurately shoot it if you do the same thing every single time. Like I've heard that for a bow, it's not important if it's necessarily dialed in, but it's important that it has to be the same shot every single time. If you like point it somewhere, it's gonna shoot to that same spot. But like if you're like going past your chin here, it's like there's just so much.
Well, you have a bunch of play, right? And you don't have the anchor points,
Yes.
like right, because you need
Yes.
like kind of anchor points to like hey, you touch your nose, you touch your ear, your cheek, something like that, right? You have anchor points.
Exactly. The anchor point is huge. My anchor point is my chin, and then sometimes I'll put my thumb behind my ear. But my anchor point is generally my chin, and like I have my finger right behind the trigger, and then obviously just
Yeah,
yeah. It's
that's so it's so interesting.
it's interesting. It's a lot of fun. I've had my bow for 2 years now, and it's still going very strong, which surprises me because it looks like it would be much more fragile.
Are you insinuating that compound bows do not last that long? Like, is there a lifespan on them? Is
There,
I'm curious.
no, this was my worry going into it, is just like considering, when you go into like, I primarily got a bow to hunt, which was my goal, and then considering the lifespan of a firearm versus the lifespan of a bow, seems pretty obvious which one would be longer.
Yeah,
And, and even considering that, I thought the lifespan of a bow would be pretty short, like taking it out into the wild. Like I've taken the bow out into like the forest many times, and it's still going strong,
that's
which
awesome.
yeah, it is awesome. But you hunted for the first time this year?
I did. I did. So my buddies have been trying to get me to go for the longest time, and first, like, I never really got into shooting until recently. So, the idea of like being able to, you know, properly manipulate a firearm to a point where I'm comfortable enough in general, and then to manipulate it in a situation where, hey, I got to shoot something, right? Um, was one point. The other point was camping for like 5 or 6 days. Like I've never done that before, and being able to just get those many days off, right? Like especially this time of year, within my industry, it gets pretty busy. So I was able to put in the days off way beforehand. I felt comfortable enough, um, to manipulate a rifle, um, and so we just made it happen. So we ended up going to Inyo National Forest, to a spot called the Natchez Meadows, and it's supposed to be a pretty um, fruitful area. I think the pull rate, or the tag out rate, I think is what it's called. It was like 25% or 28% or something.
That's
It
pretty
was,
high.
yeah. So this place is supposed to be like pretty fruitful, um, but get this, we didn't see jack shit. I didn't even see a doe. Like we saw nothing, and we were up at like 3 a.m. getting ready. We drove out to the wilderness line, hiked, however far in, sat in the pitch black, waited till sunrise, saw nothing, hiked around, saw nothing. We found hundreds is what we found, like that was it. Um,
Wow.
yeah, it was an awesome experience to just be there and be in nature and be one with nature, right? But the hunting aspect of it kind of sucked because we didn't see anything.
Yes.
But I think it was an off year though, because there's so I'm not sure if you're aware, but there's fires going on in Sequoia, and so when we were driving up, it was like smoke, like super smoky.
Wow.
So the area we got to was clear, but then like come nightfall, the smoke would come in, and in the morning the smoke be in, and then it'd blow away because there'd be some wind, so it'd clear up. But we think that a lot of just wildlife got pushed out of the area because of it. So um, there were people that tagged out, but as far as we knew, you know, and from what we've heard, I think there was maybe 8 deers that were put, at least like
Wow.
that we know of, which is not a lot
Not
in that
many.
area. Yeah.
No. That's the fires here really and they do a lot of damage and they come right during hunting season.
Yeah.
Like last year I went up to Humboldt because it's pretty wet up there. The fires don't come in as strong. Or they did. I mean, there was Oregon fires there last year too, and they were terrible. But the I mean, the Sierra National Forest fires over the last like 3 years have just been awful, and they're always during hunting season. Like last year, I wasn't, there was no remote camping until like November, or even like I'm sorry, there was no remote camping autumn of last year. Not until January 1st, 2021 did they allow that in like at least I think like all Southern California national forests. And then this year I was up in uh I forgot which forest it is. It's northwest of Yosemite Park, but like halfway through my hunt there, they closed down every forest in the entire nation.
Yeah.
Do you that
So
hap
so you're on the front end of it. We were on the tail end of it. So coming into this, like the week of, the forests were still, like all the national forests were still closed.
Wow.
And then that Monday, sorry, it was closed up until I think September 16th. And then I think on the 17th, they were like, hey, we're gonna open up. I think they opened up every national forest except 7 areas that obviously were close to the fires. So we were good. Um, and then the issue that we ran into was we didn't know if the road going in was going to be opened or not. So
Oh, wow.
2 days before, or like 2 or 3 days before, we called, the ranger forest, or sorry, the ranger base, that we would pass. I think it's called like Black Mountain, or Black Rock, or Black Hawk, or something like that. We called that ranger station. We said, hey, is the road into Inyo, is it open? And they said, yes, it is. So we're like, great, awesome. We roll up there. Like we woke up at like 4 in the morning on Thursday. It was like the 23rd. We roll up there. We get to the ranger station. The road is closed.
Damn.
So we're like, okay, let's go talk to the ranger. We go up to the guy. He goes, we just got a call to close it this morning. So we were just like, really, and it's like it was like a four. I think at that time, up to that ranger station, is like a 4 hour drive, 3.5 hours. So at that, like, so I was just like, okay, are we gonna go home? Are we just gonna abandon this trip? Like, I was trying to think of like, hey, maybe we could go to Big Bear and just camp. Like we already have all our gear. We bought everything we needed.
Yes.
Like let's at least go camping.
Salvage what you can.
Exactly. And then so we pull off, and we're just kind of waiting because we were waiting for some other cars, some of our other friends to come up. So we're sitting there looking at the GPS, and then my buddy goes, "Hold on, see if there's a back road." So we found, and not even we, he found. I'm not even going to take his credit because he paved the way for a lot of us. He
Nice.
found like some back roads that like was open, and it potentially connected to the road that we needed to be on to get to where we needed to go. And so we waited there. Our friends rolled up, laid out the situation, and we said, hey, we can potentially salvage this trip. On one of the GPS, the roads don't connect. Like they literally like curve past each other like this. On another GPS that my friend had, they connected. The road connected. So he said, "Hey, let's give it a shot. Let's see if there's a way. Let's see if it's actually open." And we were even thinking like, "Hey, if the trail's not connected but it's that close, like we'll just romp it in the truck."
Nice.
And so we drive. We get to there. It was open, and so we found this back roadway. We got in, and we were just like, "Oh my gosh!" Like we just got so lucky, and this is gonna be amazing because no one's gonna find this trail. Uh,
Yes.
they ended up opening up the main road into the into the campsite like the next day, I think. Yeah, because so
Wow.
many people were just like upset, like they just got all this time off. They got prepped, everything, and I think I even think some people just ended up blowing past the comments, just like what's he gonna do? Try to catch us? Like so,
Yes.
you know, so we
That's
almost didn't go.
that's awesome that your friend found that. Does he use Onyx?
He used Onyx and Gaia.
Gaia?
Yeah, Gaia's the other one. So we had iPad Pros, and he had downloaded all these offline maps onto his iPad, so we were able to just like zoom in super far and just like, check it out.
Yes.
It's wild.
And the roads are highlighted in purple.
Yep.
Dude, that thing is
Yeah.
clutch. I
Yeah. Saved
That's
our trip.
awesome that you guys said yes. That's huge. And how many people were you with?
So in our camp, we had like 10. So it was
That's a lot of people.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we had 9. That's what it was. We had 9. And so we split up and we all went to like kind of separate areas. So like, but we kind of came up. We went in pairs though. So me and the guy I went up with, we went together, and then the other two guys went uh, in another canyon across from us, and we were trying to like push the strategy was like to push deer into each other. So, that's four, and then we had a few other dudes go like into the other canyons, like way on the other side. So we all split up, but we all had walkies. So we were all.
And everyone had a tag?
Some people only had bear tag, so they weren't gonna shoot a deer, if they saw one, but it's a bear.
Wow.
Yeah, so
That
everyone
would have
there
been
had tags.
something.
Yeah, well, the thing was, one of the guys we went with, this guy actually shot a bear, either last year or 2 years ago, and he was just telling us like this whole story. It's like, yeah, it was a massive bear. He was just looking for buck, and then just saw the bear. He just happened to have a bear tag, shot it, and he's like, all right, so this bear's gonna run the other way. Like, I'm gonna have to kind of trail it. The bear actually ended up coming at him.
Really?
Yeah, so he was up the hill, so he had to just like quickly get the next shot, rocked in, and then he ended up dropping the bear. But
That's crazy.
yeah, he was definitely like not expecting the bear to like run at him, so he definitely probably wet his pants a little bit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a crazy thing to kill. Those things are like savage creatures.
Well, and also imagine like you get one, like you go. Let's say you go by yourself, you get one. What are you gonna do? Like,
Dude,
how are you gonna get it out? Or maybe you just get what you can and you just leave the rest, right? Like,
bro, I was elk hunting in Colorado. I was very close to killing an elk. I was super close. But that was constantly my thing. It's just like you got this. I have this backpacking backpack on me. I've YouTubed how to break down an elk, and I know it's gonna be like 4 trips, 100 pounds at least each trip, and I'm like 3 to 5 miles away from camp. Uh, dude, I mean, how did he do it?
so so these guys, when they come up in like with like all their friends. So they actually do
Got
this
it.
like every year. They come up with like a group, and so he ended up radioing in to all his buddies like, hey, like I just got a bear. So a bunch of guys came over and helped him like haul it out. Um, but what I've heard is, like let's say for you, like let's say you got that elk. What some people do sometimes is just like get what they can and then just string up the rest and just leave it,
Yes.
come back the next day.
That's
You
what
know,
the plan was. Because, I mean, the bears will eat it. Like,
yeah,
if, I mean, in Colorado or California, that's not that big of a deal because they're black bears. But one of the reasons I didn't go to Montana was because, like, one, I didn't want to I didn't want to be somewhere where I can be, killed by something.
yeah,
And, if you kill an elk there, then that's a huge issue. Like, because I believe based off of all my research, like that's how bear encounters happen. They're almost always with hunters during archery because they're in the state of hyperphagia right now, which is when they eat a lot of food before hibernation. And it's always like usually when the elk has been killed, they leave and then they come back, and then the bears are there eating the elk.
yeah. Jeez, imagine just running to like a 600, 700 pound grizzly. Like, what do you do?
I don't know
And
what
you
you
have a
do.
bow. Like, what do you do? Like, that's it
No. In Montana, you can carry a sidearm, which,
with a
but
bow.
yeah, in Montana, you're allowed to carry a sidearm. I'm not trained in using a sidearm, so that's just not a great idea.
Fair.
But maybe one day, maybe
Yeah,
one day,
yeah. I get it with like at least like if you hunt with a rifle, you at least have
a
a
rifle.
rifle, right? Like it's gonna be scary to try to just in that moment of just hyper adrenaline fight or flight situation, to accurately manipulate your firearm and then to accurately hit this
Yes.
train coming at you, right? Like that's another story. But at least you have the firearm, with your bow. It's like unless you're
feels silly.
Legolas.
What was that? What'd you
Uh,
say?
Unless you're like Legolas, from Lord of the
Yes,
Rings,
dude.
you're kind of done for.
Shoot it right into its skull. That'd be pretty crazy. That'd be a really crazy shot, but still,
You would never even aim for this one. You'd aim for center mass because that's the biggest area to hit. Like if that was
this. What would I?
you,
What would you aim for?
you'd aim for center mass because you have the greatest
Yes.
probability of hitting it, right? Like in that situation, if you're getting chased by a bear, you're gonna aim for the biggest part of its body, which is center mass. So,
Yes.
yeah,
Hoping to stop it, which it probably wouldn't.
yeah. I'm curious. So you mentioned you have a backpack that you bring hunting. I'm just curious. What bag do you use?
Osprey, Atmos. It's a
That's a
65. What?
that's a backpacking backpack, right?
Yeah, that is. I mean, I don't know, if I kill an elk, um I need some serious, thing to carry that back. I need something with a lot of liters in it. So, I carry that around. Usually it's pretty empty. So I've got like a system. Usually what I bring with me is there's like this it's chalk in I don't know, your friends might have used this. A chalk in like a little tube and you squeeze it and it tells you where the wind's going. Oh yeah, you guys should
I
use.
mean that makes sense.
Yes,
Yeah.
that I use that. I have my phone with Onyx all the time and a compass, and then I have food, water. I usually bring iodine pills in case something crazy happens. Um, game bags, a utility knife. When I say utility knife, I mean a Swiss Army knife that's pretty extensive. Um, I have my rangefinder. I have some biodegradable toilet paper. Because, dude, I don't know if go to the bathroom out in the woods, but like when you're out there for like 14 hours, it's like
You gotta go.
you gotta go. You gotta go. And if you don't have that stuff, it's a lot. I mean, good luck.
Wow, that's. It sounds like you do. I feel like both me and my buddy over like we pack so much more than
What do you guys pack?
so. Well, so the benefit that we have is we were running two people, right? So we could split things up if needed.
Yes.
But so my buddy runs a. Well, so the reason why I was asking about your bag is, because you use a hiking bag. My buddy actually uses. He has a like a hunting specific bag where it comes with like one of those L frames, and so what it does is the bag itself can be separated. It can be pulled forward to fit something like game in the middle, right? So
Yes.
and you could haul a lot of stuff with it, especially because it's an L frame. You have a nice sturdy like backing. You can haul more weight, right? So that's just kind of why I was asking. But so between us, like each of us carried, and I brought probably 4 liters of water. Plus, I have a filter or my water bladder that can filter like 1,000 liters of water. We each brought like an MRE. Those are the military meal
Yes.
kits. I don't know using those. And then we had like snacks. Like we brought jerky, trail mix. We had like these little Cliff Bar energy gummy cubes. Um,
Nice.
we have those. We have like these little. They're kind of like the emergencies, but they're like energy emergencies with like it's like hydrating and it gives you like low caffeine
Yes.
pump. Obviously, we carried rifles, extra ammunition, um, had binos, rangefinder.
And binos too. I
Yeah,
carry binos. But
you,
I have MREs and all those keeping energy up there. It's like not as, you think you're eating too much, but really never never really eating too much out there.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? Is like you're hoofing up like probably a 30 pound bag, 20 30 pound
Yes.
bag, then you have your bow, we have our rifles, and you're hiking for miles, and you're going. I don't know
Yes.
where if your area was flat, but ours was just like
No.
it just
In
seemed rolling.
California, it's all, there's nothing flat really in California hunting.
Um, and then we obviously like we went in the end of September, so it was cold, like super cold in the morning. Like when we would leave our car in the morning, it'd be like 23 degrees. So we
Yes.
were layered up, So I probably had like 5 layers on. Um,
That's a lot of energy. Sleeping on the ground takes a lot of energy too.
oh yeah, exactly. But I'm curious, how do you carry your bino and your rangefinder? Do you have like a chest rig, or do you just carry it in like some sort of pouch? Like,
I need a chest rig, but what I do is for my elk hunt, what I did was I have um a utility belt or tactical belt, and th on there I put in my I have a GPS coordinator too because I'm out there alone.
yeah,
So sorry, not GPS, satellite coordinator. Sorry,
yeah,
satellite communicator.
like a
S-
Garmin.
It's not a Garmin, it's it's Zoleo, and it Bluetooths to my phone. So I use my phone to do the texts, but it's pretty much a Garmin.
Okay, cool, cool.
And I have that. I have my Swiss Army knife and I have my rangefinder on my belt. So those I don't carry. And then I put on my pack, and then right after that I put my binos like on. I need to get like something to keep it on my chest
Gotcha.
because like it is, I the way I have it, it's actually okay because like the string laces up onto my backpack and like I can still pull it in. But it is do you have a chest pack?
Gotcha. Chance. Gotcha.
Dude, the backpack wall.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that shortly. We'll get to that shortly. So I have this thing. It's from a company called Hills People Gear, and so what it is a chest rig. Um, you wear it on your chest, and I have a knife strapped to it right now. But during the hunt, I actually had a bino pouch right here, and then I had my rangefinder right here. So everything was accessed right on my chest. So you saw anything, boom, you have quick access right in front of you. You know, rangefinder right in front of you, like everything's ready to go.
Nice.
And it helped disperse the weight too, like in front of you, and then whatever you had in your pack.
Yes, binos weigh a lot.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But yeah, this they have so Hills People Gear. They also make backpacks as well, but they make a bunch of different type of chest rigs. Like mine has molly in front of it, so you can like strap a bunch of random stuff to it. So this actually came in handy too when we were walking. And it was like still pitch black outside. I had a headlamp, and then I had a flashlight. Just hooked onto here, pointed to the ground, so I could like see my feet. Um,
Oh,
you know,
wow. And then you
kind of
can
thing.
put
So
your headlamp farther out.
exactly, exactly. I mean, we didn't want to light up the entire place because we didn't want to scare anything, if there was anything. But it's like that was like kind of medium distance, and then the headlamp was medium distance, and then I had the flashlight pointed to the ground, so we could see everything that's happening. And it was
Dude,
just nice to
that's a
have
nice
them.
system.
Yeah. So like I feel like I over prepare, but for those sorts of situations, right? Like I feel like you kind of have to because you
Yes.
don't know what's going to happen, right?
No. And it's under preparing sucks.
Yeah, yeah. Um, what sort of binos do you have?
Vortex optics.
Okay, well,
You?
you know which model?
1042s?
But do you know the model name?
Ooh. No, I don't. I don't right now. I could find it out real quick. What type
How
do you
much did you
have?
how much did you spend on it? I could probably tell you.
I spent like $100.
You probably got the crossfires.
I did. I got the
Yeah.
crossfires. What?
So in preparation for this hunt, like my buddy and I were at Bass Pro, and east. Rancho Cucamonga, I think it's called
Rancho,
Bass Pros.
that maybe that
But it's
sounds,
far, far.
yes. It's
um,
east.
yeah. So they had a smoking. So I went there to buy vinyls. Like that was like my goal, and like they were having a sale that weekend. It was like end of August or something. So I was like, okay, my goal here is to try to come and just get some, you know, some entry level binos because like I don't know if I'm gonna enjoy this or not. Like so I wanted to make sure I had proper gear, but I wasn't trying to buy high end gear because I just don't know, right? They
Yes.
ended up having a sale on uh, on some a bino and a rangefinder. I ended up getting both. They're both Vortex. I ended up getting the set for like 350, which the crossfires are I think like 150 or 180, and the rangefinder itself was like $300 or something like that, and I got the set for 350.
Nice.
Which was obviously a steal. Uh,
Yes.
and
Vortex is really high quality stuff.
well, and I don't know if you know, but their warranty is like bulletproof. Like if you break it in any way, doesn't matter how, no questions asked. You send it to them, they'll give you a new one. They'll fix it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Wow. I I mean I can see it breaking if you like hit it really hard on a rock or something, but
Or just drop
that's
it on accident, right?
yes. Yes. That's good to know. How was did you use the rangefinder?
Yes, just to gauge like how far something was, but we never saw anything, so it didn't matter. But
Yes.
uh, my confidence in shooting something was I was like, I'm probably good out to maybe 150 yards. Just because I was using my buddy's rifle, and I've been rifle shooting a number of times. I could hit a target, but like once we were pushing me out to 300, like it was starting to get a little dicey. So our philosophy was, hey, I'll take anything under 150. He takes anything beyond.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah,
One,
because
I think even having under 150 is like, I'd rather have under 150 because a lot of shots end up being like, oh, the deer's right there at 70 yards.
yeah. So that Wednesday before we left, we ended up going to a range and just getting it dialed in, making sure our scopes were zeroed. Um, so I was just like, hey, I'm gonna zero mine to 100, and that's it. Like I'm not gonna tweak it because I don't know enough to like say, oh, hey, like 3 clicks means this much,
Yes.
distance, all that. I was just like, all right, mine's good to 100. I'll probably be good for 150. But anything else, like you adjust your scope and you take that shot. Like I'm not even bothered.
Nice. That's a nice call. It's hard, dude. Like hunting, like you said, you give up a lot to get there. You give up, your PTO. It's not that cheap to be out there. You can only do it for this like certain amount of time, maybe 2 weeks out of the year. So it's like, and you said that's a very busy time for your company. It's a lot of, you give up a lot to be out there. And I mean, I kind of love it and hate it simultaneously. I don't know. Hunting in a group is a lot of fun. Hunting alone, which I've done plenty of times, is a lot different. But either way, you go out there and it's like, it's tough to not catch anything, to be out there for 3 straight days, be in and not literally not see an animal or hear an animal in my case for elk. But I know it's like still kind of worth it in the end because it's like hiking or there's a lot of expectations though that hiking doesn't bring on.
Yeah, I think that's where I was, in my mind, I was like, I had a great time camping and hiking. The hunting aspect was kind of like I went through the motions and it was my first time. So like I didn't really have any expectations, right? But once I was there and chatting with the folks who normally go, you know, they just made it sound like, yeah, like we're gonna get one. At least someone in the group will get one, anyways. Which that's also exciting, right? But the fact that no one got anything, and I think only like 3 people saw something. I mean, they saw dough, which obviously you can't. Um, but like even like me and my friend who I was hiking with the whole time, we saw maybe some birds. I think I saw a couple. Like that was it. Like you know,
That's just, yeah. I mean, that's disheartening because you want to go out into the wild, but it's like not that easy, and animals are really good at keeping themselves hidden. I would definitely suggest you tell your friends about the wind detectors. They're like,
so what we well are you? So are you talking about the wind detectors for like your scent? Like is that?
yes.
So we all had scent lock stuff, um, and then obviously we were like we were using deodorant like non-scented deodorant, and all the clothes we were wearing were all scent locked. So we were like kind of banking on that being enough. But I mean, maybe
I've
it
heard
wasn't. I don't know.
I've heard based off all the hunting podcasts listened to,
Mhm.
it's not enough. Especially after like a couple of days of not showering. It's like, I mean, it's hard because you're going out there with 9 people. It's not like you're going out there with one person where that one person can like change direction every moment and it doesn't matter if he switches over to that guy's lane. But like when you're with 9 people, it's much more difficult because you only have this like one canyon that you can go down. But if you go down the other canyon, someone else is hunting there.
Yeah.
But if you're alone like that, you can just based off of what a lot of I see from like experienced hunters, they all use that the chalk wind detector that just you spray that and it
You see
goes
where
whichever, yeah, you literally see whichever way the wind's going.
interesting.
And I kept pretty, I tried to, but like as I found out this year, the wind goes every which way whenever it wants. So
Yeah.
it's really luck if it stays one way for like 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I feel like hunting is just so like you know there's so many considerations that you have to just keep in mind. Um, like again, as much as you try to do, I mean, for you, like you're bringing this chalk thing, but like you said, nature has it's going to run its course, and you're just kind of subject to whatever happens, right?
Yes. Subject to whatever happens. Exactly. We can prepare like you have with your wall, dude. That's a nice wall.
Yeah. So I'll give you just a full view of it here. So I I feel like I've always like liked backpacks. It was like a weird thing, and
For
then
good
I started.
reason.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? Like, yeah, you carry your stuff. Um, but I never thought I'd get like this into it. It all started when I really got into it. It was like I backed this backpack here. Um, it's by a company called Boundary Supply, uh, and the model is called the Errant. And so I saw it on Kickstarter. I was like, hey, this looks cool. Like it looks like a very well thought out, well designed bag. And I backed it on Kickstarter. And I don't know how familiar you are with like backing things on Kickstarter, but most
No,
projects don't.
what is that?
So Kickstarter is just a website for, creators or small companies who that may not have funding or enough funding to develop something, or that they, or they want to create some sort of like hype. It's a crowdsourcing website, right, where you can crowdsource kind of whatever actually, to be honest. But I've seen games to backpacks to next level futuristic technology to
What types of games? Like computer games? Futuristic technologies on there?
yeah. Oh,
Oh, like,
crazy stuff. There's like I remember back in college when we were in college, like there was like a speaker that like levitated. There's like a bass, and then the speaker
Wow.
levitates. I was like, my mind was blown. So sometimes I peruse Kickstarter, and I found the backpack. Oh, this is cool. Backed it, um, and then finally got it. And I was like, this is awesome. Like I used it for a while, and then I found this like Facebook group called I think it was a perfect pack, but there's another big backpack group on Facebook called Carryology. And so I like made I like joined this website or joined this Facebook group, and then like I was kind of introduced to this world of like crazy, like niche, but like beautifully designed and like beautifully designed backpacks that were very functional. Um, and so one thing led to another. I started just buying backpacks. Um, and so that was the one that started it all, and then I ended up getting this one. It's by a company called GoRuck. They're kind of a military inspired backpack company. They make literally bomb proof backpacks. Like this bag, like if anything were to go wrong, like in the world, like if a zombie attack were to hit, I'd grab that bag, like because it would never fail. um, People actually, they have events called rucking events, where they do just like crazy, like they put weights in the bag, and then they'll like hike for something crazy, and then use the bags as like exercise equipment, jump them down, get them in the water. Like it's insane stuff that I would never do, right?
They
um,
throw the bag with weight in it in the water.
or like they'll just like do like burpees, like chuck it and then like go grab, they'll just
Damn.
do crazy stuff. You should check it out sometime. It's actually, it looks like some good exercise. Maybe I'll use this bag for one day.
Nice.
Yeah, so got into this crazy world of backpacks. um, and actually from that group that I was in, I bought this backpack that I've always wanted. It was by a company called Peak Design. Um, they they design a lot of things around camera equipment, like they make straps, they make holders for cameras, and they make backpacks for cameras. But one of their backpacks, they call it the Everyday Backpack, and it's a very interesting bag. There's like shelves in it, so you can like put your camera. But they were saying, hey, like you don't have to use this for camera. You can put other things in it. Like it makes sense. Like you put your lunch here. You put water bottle here. They came up with all this marketing, and it was a really nice looking bag. I bought it, and it was like a $250 bag, and I got it, and it just did not function how I wanted it to. It would
Wow.
it ended up being a pain, and I returned it in under a week, and I wrote a review about it on this Facebook group, and this guy reached out to me. He said, "Hey, I really liked your review. It was very thoughtful, and you had a lot of good points in it. Um, hey, my company is designing a backpack, a travel backpack system, and we would love to get your input." And so this company, they design toiletry bags, and so they made these toiletry bags that were like super awesome. Um, they also crowd funded it through Kickstarter kind of thing, and so they're like, hey, yeah, we're designing this bag, can you help us, So we worked on this thing for maybe a year, um, and it came to fruition. Actually, that's it right there. The company's called Gravel. The backpack is called the Gravel Travel System, I think. So that's the backpack, and then, like I said, it's a system. So that's the main backpack. It's a 42-liter bag, and then that guy, yeah, that guy goes inside of this guy when it's not in use. It's a small 11-liter day bag. That, it's basically a smaller version of that. You can put it inside. You can strap it to like the back of it. You can strap it to the front of it, um, kind of deal. And then you can't really see it in the corner over here, but they developed a really cool waist belt system that like would strap to the main bag, and then when like let's say you're getting on the plane, you put that guy up top. What you can do with the waist belt is you can detach it from the main bag, and it turns into like a sling. And so it was really interesting. I've never seen something like that. Well, I've seen only one other company do something similar to that before. So it was really cool. So it's like kind of cool to be part of the design uh, component of it and help kind of bring this thing to fruition.
How much time did you spend with them to help them with that?
Oh man, that's a great question. I'm not sure. Uh, I mean, collectively, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 hours. But I was just really kind of like a consultant with them. And I was never there in person. Like they'd have it and they'd send me, like some photos, they'd send me some consideration. Or they'd ask me, hey, you know, like we had like a few hour long discussion about like zippers, right? Like,
Wow.
and that, like we were just texting paragraphs or we'd be FaceTime just talking about it. Um, but,
What
they're
did you
like,
guys talk about regarding zippers?
well, so I'm sure you've seen a brand called YKK. They're
Yes.
like a very well known brand and arguably one of the top, if not the best, like zipper brand.
DNYK?
No, 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 YKK.
YKK?
Yeah. So next time, like even on your jacket, look down. It might say YKK on the zipper pull.
Oh,
Or like your
okay.
pants, or your backpack. Like it's a very well regarded zipper brand. And so one of the things was they were like, hey, so we think we're going to go with, and I can't remember the brand was it, but they said, hey, we're going to go with this brand because it's going to be cheaper for us. Because given that if this was their first time designing a backpack, they never had to have think about using this much zippers, in a bag. And so they like had to think about the overhead costs and try to obviously, they're a company, they have to make money, right?
Yes.
So we had a whole debate about like zippers and quality of zippers and like, you know, think about it. Like the shittiest thing that can happen to you when you're using a backpack is a zipper fails.
Yes.
Like,
And that is a lot of time. Like for uh tents, that's actually a huge issue.
exactly. Like when you have a zipper fail, like if it's on like your jeans, like all right, it's not the big deal. But like on your backpack, like you can't close your thing back up, like your laptop's exposed or things are exposed, right? Like,
I had a duffel bag. It was an Amazon Basics duffel bag. I used it on a flight, and then when I zipped it up, I saw on the zip up that a piece of plastic, like a plastic grocery bag, had been zipped into the closing area and had opened up the closing area. And
and it just
so,
split it, like,
yes, and then I didn't say anything because I just wanted it to not be a big deal. But then I got called back from the terminal into the gate and they were like, your bag exploded.
no.
And that was for my most recent trip to Colorado.
And so
But they
did you just you lost everything?
No, because I had my backpacking backpack in the bag. So, and it happened before they put it on the plane. So they eventually like put a bunch of trash bags and taped it up. And most of my stuff was in the backpacking bag, the backpacking backpack. And then that I used the duffel bag as like to put that in there as well as other things. But having a zipper fail is a huge deal.
Oh yeah. So I mean, I talked about that too. I was like, imagine, you're toting this like, kind of premium travel system, and someone is going to, close it, like they're getting ready to go home, right? They're packing up, they're zipping their backpack, because this thing it opens up like clamshell or suitcase,
Yes, I
clamshell, the
can
long
see
thing.
it from the way it
Yeah,
hangs.
yeah, it opens up sideways. I'm like, imagine, your suitcase doesn't close, like the zipper pops, and then
That's a lot of zipper too.
yeah, you're kind of SOL, So I was like kind of talking through kind of the pros and cons of putting the correct size zipper, right? Because there's different, obviously different size zippers. Um,
Do you like bigger? Or
for when it makes sense, right? Like for something like this backpack, like on the main zipper, you want to go with like something like the YKK 8 or 10, right? They're bigger, beefier zippers, right? And so, we had this whole debate, um, and it actually turned out that they received the wrong quote, I think, from YKK. Like they were quoted like, or whoever was reading the quote like read it wrong or something. Like they thought it was going to be way more expensive, and so they actually ended up going with YKK. But it was just funny because we had like 2 hour conversation about
and it
zippers.
wasn't that much more expensive.
It was more for sure. Like the brand commands a premium, but I think for the right reasons. That their zippers are high quality zippers, and they offer a lot of different type too. Like you have aqua guard zippers. I don't know if you've ever seen the zippers that looks like it's tapered. It's like kind of like taped. The seams are taped,
Yes.
right? Like that's meant to keep water out, right? So for again something like this, if you're just backpacking through something and to get to like your hotel and stuff, and like let's say it just downpours, like this will be able to fight off water for unless you're in a torrential downpour. You know, not many bags are going to be able to handle that.
No.
But
Do you think that that Go Ruck bag could handle it?
so the thing about the material of the Go Ruck is made. It's made from a material called Cordura. So it's like a very very thick nylon. I think is what it is. It's a 1,000 denier nylon. So it means like I think there's like it's like kind of like thread count. So it's like 1,000 D nylon, and so it will actually weather. And then obviously they apply some DWR on it, which is durable water repellent. I think is what it stands for. So they have DWR on it, and because it's kind of that
High thread count?
high thread count. Um, and also just the way it's designed. So you can't see from here, but on the lip of the zipper, like there's actually like they put some Cordura over it, so you won't like get
Okay.
water into it from the top and sides because if it's raining, it's gonna hit the Cordura and the zippers, kind of thing.
So
But
it's got a lot of defense, but torrential downpour is still a heavy.
regardless, torrential downpour is gonna get through a lot of some bags will hold better than others. Like I think this one actually is my recent acquisition. Um, so the Facebook group that I'm a part of is called Carryology. They're a pretty big group. They actually have a website and they do a lot of backpack reviews and stuff like that and recommendations and stuff. So they've been doing a lot of collaborations with like bag companies to kind of take an existing bag that the company already makes and just kind of like, hey, let's throw premium material on it. Let's, have little subtle design updates to it that like make the usability of it, you know, better. So this bag is from a company called Evergoods. They're out of Bozeman, Montana, I believe. And this is their CPL 24, which is a Civic panel loader, 24 big 24 liters. And so what they did in the collaboration with Carryology is they ended up using a material called X-Pack. It's like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to explain it. It's like laminated material together with like, I, I basically can't even explain it, but it's a material called X-Pack that's supposed to be like light but like really durable, and there's like a diamond patterning in it, so it looks kind of cool. But so they like put X-Pack on this entire bag, and then on the inside it's just this crazy like bright orange color, which makes it like in certain bags, like if you have like a black interior and a black exterior, it makes it hard to like find your stuff, right? So
Yes,
with like a lighter color interior, it makes it easier to identify your stuff, find whatever it is you need to find. So they did that. They had like
that
the
makes
custom,
sense. Because
yeah,
if you have like a black phone over an orange background, it's much easier to find than over a black background.
yeah. Actually, they in this collaboration, they also made. Um, so Evergoods also makes um, a tech kit. They call it the CAP2, which is the CAP stands for. But it's like a pouch for your tech, right? So in this collaboration, they also threw the same design elements. Like I don't know if you kind of see the diamond patterning in it,
Yes, I do.
right? And then you'll see, check this out. You'll see how orange it is.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
wow.
you're not gonna lose anything in here,
No.
right? Like you're gonna see everything. So
A tech pouch sounds like a great investment. I need one. And I'm sure that's as water resistant as a bag can get.
oh yeah, exactly. So like if you have a water bottle like explode in your bag or something, you're probably gonna be, you know. And actually, here, let me show you the zippers roll, so you can kind of see, it's they're YKK zippers, aqua guard. So like it has this like
Yes.
seam built into to stave off the water as much as possible. Um,
I can see it from even through the webcam.
yeah. So I mean, a tech pouch is I love it. I never used to use one. Like I always just use the internal organization in whatever bag I was using. But to have all of your stuff organized, like if you asked me if we were, hanging out or traveling and you asked me, hey, can I get an iPhone charging cable? Boom, I got you. Hey, can I get a charger for whatever? I got you. Hey, you need a piece of gum? I got you.
It's huge. You have a
it's all right there.
replaceable battery, in USB. Yes.
Oh yeah, got everything. Like I call it my consultant's bag of tricks.
Since
Uh, consultant bag of tricks. So like when I travel for work, whatever I need, it's in this bag. Or what if anyone needs anything, it's in this bag.
nice. Nice. Consultant bag of tricks.
Oh yeah, I got some ibuprofen in here. I got some bandages. I got vitamins. I got allergy pills because I get allergies sometimes. Like it's all in
Wow.
here.
Have you traveled recently for work?
Oh, I haven't traveled for work since February 20. So my company's headquarters, or well, for my team's headquarters, is based out of Yardley, Pennsylvania, and so we were having kind of like beginning of year kickoff meeting. So they flew me out there um, for work, but after that, COVID obviously. Actually, I might have traveled in March for work too. Uh,
March of 2020?
yeah, so yeah, it was like mid March, and I can't remember if I was in LA or Phoenix, but we were doing in person interviews for one of this a project that we were on, and it was just kind of crazy. It was weird. Like there's a bunch of people were supposed to come out, and people started canceling the trip. They're like, oh hey, we heard this like COVID things happening. That's when like COVID started kind of percolating within the media. So
Yes.
people were
And
like,
people started considering if they would change the habits because of it.
exactly. So we had respondents that were like, hey, so our because when we talk to these respondents, we're talking to decision makers in healthcare companies or insurance companies. So they were like, hey, I actually can't go anymore because my company is saying no one's allowed to travel anymore because of this, you know, this COVID thing that's happening. Or even some of our clients that were going to come and kind of listen in the back room to these interviews, they're like, hey, so some people are starting to drop out because they're scared or whatever. So it ended up being me and my manager at the time, and some people ended up coming. Some of the response ended up coming, so we did the interviews for those folks who came, but otherwise we were doing virtual interviews in this facility. So it was kind of crazy, but yeah, haven't traveled since. They basically grounded all travel.
Wow. That was a crazy moment, March 2020.
Yeah, when the whole world kind of came to its knees. Right?
Yes. Came to its knees and how far we've come. And it doesn't seem that long as that much. I mean, it does. A lot of stuff has transpired in the last year and 9 months, year and 10 months, or whatever. But it kind of it's crazy to think that, COVID And I remember hearing about it, like this is going to be a marathon. But like even now, October of 2021, it's been a long time and we're still talking about it. It's still as big of a deal as it was, a year and a half ago.
for different reasons, I think.
Yes,
But you know,
different reasons.
yeah, I did for you because I at least I don't know if you got a new job recently, but I know you were traveling at
I was. That
multiple.
was the job I had before COVID hit. I switched jobs before, like in 2019, I switched jobs at the beginning. So I was
Oh,
at that job for about a year and then COVID hit. So, and now I
were,
have a different job than that.
okay. Were you so for the job that you had through COVID? Were you was it a traveling job and did traveling get
No,
fixed or oh okay so it's just
no, it wasn't.
opportunities.
But I do know people who had traveling jobs similar to that were traveling before the vaccine even came out. They were younger, they weren't high risk individuals, but I know that, you know, for high priority contracts, the ball was still rolling even through, 2020.
Well, because they needed to, right?
Yes,
Like they physically had to be there in order for things to work, right? That's
exactly.
the situation.
Exactly. It was essential workers, which is
Hmm.
crazy, so
Yeah.
but yep, not at that, not in the traveling anymore, and don't know if I'll go back anytime soon. It's a huge commitment.
Are you are you working from home now? Or do you go to an office? Like
Working
how?
from home, yes. Most of my teammates are based, they're honestly based all over the US. So, some on the Pacific Northwest, some in the Mountain State area, some in Florida, some, in the Northeast. Uh, it's kind of weird because, like, when your whole team's divided across the nation, how do you go back from that? How do you go back to being able to consolidate your team to one spot when you have subject matter experts literally all over the country?
Were were they based in one location prior to COVID and then people just like moved or was the team kind of already?
Team was formed after COVID.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. Yes.
So that was your normal to begin with.
Yes. I've only been there for about 3 months now.
Oh, okay.
Um, but
Congrats
it's
on the
been,
promotion.
thank you. Thank you. It's been good. So well, but yeah, this is kind of the new normal. My last normal was everyone being based in San Diego. All of us, like we went to the office and we'd all talk, what's going on in San Diego, what's going on in the local, you know, politics, local news, local sports. And now no one I work with, can relate to, San Diego Aztecs winning games or,
Yeah,
there being intense traffic on the 805 North.
yeah. Do
It's kind of
you
what?
do you like working from home or are you like an office person?
No, I like working from home. I think the amount of time and energy saved is really high and still can provide pretty high output, which, I think a lot of people proved over the last year and a half. What about yourself? Do you like working from home or love it?
Love it. I
Nice.
small so you know, right? I used to commute down to San Diego from Orange County. That's you know,
That's long.
that was that was a for me and one of my other buddies who was doing it with me. That was a 5 hour commute. Like we drive from Orange County down to Oceanside. That's 40, 45. Hop on the train, Oceanside down to downtown San Diego. It's like an hour, 10 minutes, and then walk from the train station in downtown to building, which was another 20 minutes roughly. So that right there is like, you know, two, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. What is it?
Wow. I didn't know you took the train down. That's a
Well,
huge commute.
the thing is, with the train, it added more time. But the thing is, when you're on the train, your mind wasn't focused on the road, so we can actually get
Yes.
work done, get a nap in, get breakfast in. Like
Yes.
we traded time for you know
Comfort.
leisure, I guess. Yeah,
Yes.
comfort.
Driving in traffic down there and back up,
Rough.
very rough.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, I
also
agree.
cheaper.
Really?
Well, gas, factor in gas, and then factor in parking. Parking in downtown each
Oh,
day is like,
yes.
if you got a good lot, it's like $15. You get a kind of not so good lot, it's like 20, 25 bucks.
Wow.
So,
That's
and
so expensive. All
oh
that's
yeah,
so much cost. I had a coworker who drove from Temecula to O- Old Town, San Diego
jeez.
every day, 5 days a week. It's like he is someone who greatly benefited from work from home, as did you and your coworker.
Well, so I actually left my job before COVID hit. So I got a new job September 2019. um, and part of the reason was the commute. Like it just like I would be leaving before the sun gets up, and I get home before the sun, uh, and I'd leave and I get home when the sun's down. So like my life was kind of just like in darkness, like metaphorically and literally, right? Like it was just rough. Um, Not everything was bad. Obviously, there was camaraderie with the coworkers, and I obviously learned a lot. Um, but it just kind of got to the breaking point. I was like, hey, I don't know if I can keep doing this. That's when you know I was starting to look around and seeing, hey, like, is there anything else? Is there anything better? Um, so I found my current company, and uh, the office that I would be going to was like in Irvine. It was down the street from where I was living at the time. So I exchanged a 5 hour commute to like 25 hour or 25-minute commute. Like that was amazing. Um, but I was kind of the trade off was like I was also working in the office kind of by myself. Like there was a few other people there, but they weren't on my team, so like I didn't really interact with anyone. Come in, sit down in I had like a nice little like office with like a window and everything, which is cool. But like I'd get in, close the door, put music in, and just kind of go. So I was kind of already used to working alone. And then COVID hit. They said, hey, let's work from home. Maybe we'll come back in a few months. Obviously, COVID didn't go down in a few months, and
No.
the whole company wide, they said, hey, you know what? For all the satellite offices that have just a couple people in it, let's just close them down, save money. Um, and so, actually, my office is gone out here. So,
Wow.
like, this is my office for the long term, I guess.
I mean, it makes sense. Like, unless you're missing mission essential for physical things, what what's the point? 2.5 hours? That's such a huge commute. Your company has to get downtown real estate. That's a huge cost. So it's a cost on the company, it's a cost on you. I mean, going to work in the dark and coming back to work in the dark, that's like 4 to 5 days a week. I mean, work is important and need to do it, but it doesn't need to consume our lives wholeheartedly the way that some people act as though and try and live as though that's how it is. And it's like, I enjoy my work. I want to work hard, but I also want to have a rich life outside of work.
Exactly. So, yeah, I'm totally in agreement. Like, I love what I do, um, but I don't want to do this, you know, all day, every day, right? Like I need time to, pursue my own hobbies and own passions, right? So,
Yes, exactly.
so
Well, John, oh, do you have something?
No, I was just gonna ask, like, you know, you mentioned something about loving what you do. I'm just curious, if you could say what it is that you do, if you can, and just
Oh,
like,
yes.
I'm just curious, like, what about it that you like? Because I know that we both studied the same major. At least I did for a little bit, and I ended up hating it and changing stuff.
Mathematics to you change it to math?
Yeah, so I'm just curious if you still do stuff with engineering and how.
Yes, I do. I actually am really interested in what I do. So I've been a systems engineer for 5 years, and systems engineering can be, pretty much anything to create any system. I was doing communication systems like radars and radios and satellite communications, and those involve like networking, communications, actually like radio radar technologies, and also power. Power is huge. I didn't, come to realize, but power is a huge aspect of systems engineering. And so my first two jobs were heavily based around that. And systems are getting so complex that they're, and traditionally documented in a they've been recorded in a document fashion. The requirements have always been like put in, Word Word documents or PDF documents. And now the tools, there's issues with that because that's not translatable. If you put something in a Word document, that doesn't translate for the next project. Or if you put something in an Excel spreadsheet and that says, the requirements for this system, it needs to do X, it needs to do Y, it needs to do Z, that isn't easily translatable if it needs to be reached further down the line. So right now, a big the big initiative in systems engineering is model-based systems engineering. And so using models in there's an old type of language called unified modeling language, which, is it has some modeling aspects, but a new language recently come out called system modeling language, SysML, is used. It tracks requirements for a system. It tracks users, how a user would interact with the system. It tracks how the system interconnects, how the system externally connects, and it is integrated. Whereas the Word documents, the Excel documents, the PowerPoints, those weren't integrated. The data wasn't integrated between each other. Whereas with these tools, the tool is mostly magic draw. The idea is that your diagrams will integrate with your requirement spreadsheet, will integrate with your, even if you need to create a description, you can create it in this tool and it will integrate all back in with the actual, say you're trying to create a piece of hardware. You can create, comments on that should be able to bring out a Word document. Or if you want to comment on a cable, you should be able to comment on that. So, still working on engineering topics, still, doing some electrical. I'm actually working to get my professional engineering certification in electrical power right now. I've failed that test twice already, and it's an 8 hour long test. So it's really, really tough, and I hope I can pass it so I never have to take it again.
In engineering, there's the FE and then the PE, right? Those are the.
Yes, I took the FE. That's
Okay.
the fundamentals of engineering to become
Okay.
an engineer in training, and then the PE to become a professional engineer.
And then is there a third level, or is it just PE? Is the.
No, PE is the that's it.
Oh gosh, thinking about just having to go like study and take a test is so. Like,
I
tough
don't like
compared.
tests. I, I wasn't much of one for school. I don't know how you felt. I love life after school much more than I
Oh, I
enjoyed school.
I loved college. I hated
Yeah.
school.
Yes, dude. Loved college, hated school.
Yeah, like I loved meeting everyone. I loved the social aspect of things. I loved the spontaneity of being a
Spontaneity was
student.
incredible.
Yeah, but the school aspect sucked. Especially, I feel like, and I think I speak for you too, since you do like very practical things, is that like we studied so much theory based stuff, right? That like, it's like, okay, great. I learned all of these things. Now, how does this translate to the real world?
Yes.
Like I feel like for engineering, it may be a little less so because what you do, you're learning skill. No, okay, well,
ECE, I don't think is. I think there was overemphasized theory, and we didn't get in the lab enough.
yeah, same thing when I studied math and econ. Like it was all theory based stuff. Like I learned how to prove that two is an even number, right? But I'm like, how does this translate to the real world? And so a lot of things I learned, you know, it was just kind of fell by the wayside. And to be honest, the only math I use nowadays is addition, subtraction, and multiplication and division. Like that's
Yes.
the math that I do. Like, um, and maybe there's some economic theory in the research that I do and the work that I do, but you know, minimal. It's more just industry knowledge, and so I'm fully convinced that going to school is just, a way to prove that hey, I'm gonna tough something out for a period of time. Yeah, it's not gonna be fun, but I got through it, right?
That's it.
That's you
It's a
know,
cert. It's a it's a plaque to keep you above a bunch of other people who weren't able to do it. But I
yeah,
mean, I know a couple of guys who are pretty, good with computers that never went to school and have solid jobs right now.
yeah, same.
And
Like
that's
it's
practical knowledge. There's no theory in that.
yeah, and I guess the one credit that I'll give school is it kind of helps you think outside the box to solve problems. So that's the one thing that I will give credit to school for is you know you'll attack a problem in a certain way, and if it doesn't work, then you have to think how to go around it, solve it from different methods. So that's where I think I learned the most, and I use that the most in my whether that
Yes.
be work,
I
just life, right?
yes. It's learning to learn. That's what
Yeah,
it's about. I don't know if it actually helped, but at least you and I met and we got to be in a fraternity for a while.
that's some cool
J-
people.
John, thank you for coming on the podcast. Are there any last words you'd like to tell everybody?
No, just thanks for having me on. I certainly enjoyed it. I've thought about doing something similar to this myself. I can tell. I don't know if you can tell. I feel like I'm a pretty inquisitive person. It also just comes from my job, so I have to ask questions at my job. So, I feel like it's a good dialogue back. So certainly enjoyed it, and just hang out, man.
Yes, let's hang out and you should definitely consider starting your own if you're interested.
Yeah, we'll do. Thanks so
All right.
much.
You're welcome. Thanks so much, John.
Bye for now.
Bye.